I posted a video on Instagram the other day because it's something that I saw on TikTok, and I'm not sure if you've seen this on TikTok because I
Yeah,
have.
I've noticed that trend for a
Have you
while.
seen these things on TikTok where,
Yeah, they call it like Subway Surf is like a main thing. I posted a
yeah,
clip,
there's that subway one, but then there's also like the animated cars, and there's also a few other
like
ones.
GTA videos.
Yeah, yeah, like
Yeah, I've
just
seen them.
and they're
I've
all
seen
animated.
clips where people have been in social situations, literally, and they've just like held up. I don't know if it was a joke, but I've seen clips where people in classroom and the teachers put it on underneath,
What
like
do you
his
mean?
presentation.
Like teaching?
Yes, the teachers had like the Subway Surfer videos underneath his presentations. Like I
What?
don't know if they're like as a joke or if it's serious. I've just seen clips of them, but
Yeah,
it's just getting to that point where these kids, everything has to be consumed with that underneath.
yeah, no, and like if I just go on my For You page and I scroll, I would say one in every five video is this. It has some, and most of the clips, they don't do it on clips that are like worthy of watching. Have you
Yeah,
noticed? It's all like just shit comedy, uh, bullshit clips that just like provide no value to anyone. It's
yeah.
made,
It's basically for TikTok scrollers, people who are just they've completely lost their mind into like what they're consuming. It's
yeah,
just they've disregarded reality at the point. They're so sucked into their phone, whatever comes across that they're scrolling, that's what they're focusing on, and then their their subconscious mind's actually just on whatever the video is.
hmm,
But they're just so caught up in scrolling, they're so used to scrolling that their brains are literally just completely being fried, honestly.
yeah, and I think so. You know how we know how subconscious programming works, especially when it comes to like advertising, um, movies, adverts, commercials, all that stuff. And one of the things about subconscious programming is basically when when you get a person into a trance-like state, which is what like all these movies are doing, and there have actually been studies done where they show like when you watch a movie through the flickering of the screen, it puts you into a trance-like state.
Yeah.
And then hypnosis or hypnotherapy, one of the first things they do is get you in a trance state. The reason they do this is because you're highly suggestible. So when you are in a state of trance, you are easily manipulated because we have the conscious mind that allows us to perceive information, rationalize it, and disregard information that doesn't serve us. But
Yeah.
then when you're in a trance-like state, the conscious mind dissipates, and all is left is your subconscious mind taking in information. And the subconscious mind doesn't deal with rationalization. Its job isn't to perceive information. Its job is just to take information in and act on it. And so when you look at the TikTok videos, which all these kids, freaking 10 years old, 5-year-old kids, whatever, teenagers, young teenagers, bro, even adults, man. So
Dude,
many
it's
adults.
getting to the higher age
Yeah.
range. We're talking 60-year-olds
No,
or
when all
less.
these adults are all lonely and stuff, because loneliness is like one of the biggest problems today, they're just going to result to TikTok because the algorithm's feeding them stuff that they like. That's how powerful the algorithm is. Anyway, back to these videos. So you'll see a video of like, I don't know, Joe Rogan speaking about some crazy fact or whatever, not really important or anything. And then underneath that video is just this like animated car video game or GTA animated game. And you'll find that your eyes automatically go to that and it will put you in a hypnotic state, which makes you highly suggestible to whatever you're listening to, if it's Joe Rogan or some other bullshit stuff. And all
Yeah.
that is going right into the subconscious. You're literally being mind controlled when you're watching this shit. And this is
Yeah,
what
it's
all
like
the
a
kids,
fracturing of the mind.
yeah. And if you think about it, there was like a study done by the Psychology Today or something where how many hours is it? Oh yeah, no. Children or most people on average, they pick up their mobile phones like 360 times a day. Kids spend 5, 6, 7 hours daily on their phones. And then how many videos of that you think are people scrolling on TikTok? Bro, let's even say it's like 20 videos every single day in which you see that mind control shit. You're just being highly programmed.
Yeah, there's a funny question as well that it just applies to all people that use social media, Facebook, Instagram. But if you ask someone who's just finished their dose of whatever they've been using on the app, ask them what was the last 3 posts that you just watched or you just seen. Most people can't tell you.
Yeah, well,
They go off the phone and they realize 25 minutes has gone, 30 minutes, 45 minutes has gone by. Like
yeah,
that time, they can't even account for that time. The AI just consumed so much data on them, took up their mind, and when they get finished on their dose of reality for that time period, they can't even recall most of the stuff that they see.
yeah. That's because they did studies on this. You know, like it goes back to like Edward Bernays, what's his name, Walter Lippmann, all these guys that were really understood how psychology works and how programming works, basically. And they did studies on um, what happens when you. Oh no, sorry, this is multitasking. So you know when you see those videos, you're watching a video and you're watching a video that's completely unrelated to something, like to the
Listen to something else.
yeah, you're listening to one thing and you're watching something that's completely different. And this is
Yeah.
basically the essence of multitasking. And they've done studies on multitasking where they found actually multitasking is a lot of people think, oh yeah, you're doing two things at once. I'm a great multitasker, but the reality is, in the studies, what they've shown is when you multitask often, you actually become more forgetful. So it shortens your short-term and long-term memory.
Yeah.
So, bro, you got these kids watching this stuff, and I know I'm just specifically talking about
Yeah, the
the,
TikTok kids,
but
Gen
just
Z.
it that's just one aspect where there's so many aspects of hypnotic mind control throughout reality. But specifically on this, you're multitasking and you don't even know it when you're scrolling on social media, and you're becoming extremely docile. That's the essence of docility, is becoming extremely forgetful and low intelligence. And this is what's happening. And bro, you speak to the kids today, man. And we
You can
that
see
young.
it in the way they speak. Like, for example, like, you know, mood changes, like everything's being impacted by this stuff. It's not just their attention span. Like that's obvious. Now it's ranging to all their levels of health, especially mood. Like these kids dealing with depression, I don't even think it's depression anymore. It's just they're just there's like a void within themselves that they've created because their reality is basically just what they're consuming on there.
Yeah.
And you said 7, 8 hours consumption on. I think it's up in the 10 to 12 hour region on TikTok. It's getting
Mm-hmm.
that bad. But it's interesting you mentioned Edward Bernays, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they started their hypnotic advertising techniques, it was on television to get people to consume stuff, right? But now, when you use these apps like TikTok, it's not even about ads anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, ads are everywhere on Instagram and stuff, but these techniques, like the algorithm, it's not even for getting ads, like information, like to get you to buy something. It's consuming every detail that you have when you're on that video. For example, through the camera, through the phone, the microphone. So before it was, I'm going to throw all these techniques at you to make you buy something.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just, I'm going to throw all this stuff at you. So you just give me your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And that attention then they use
Yeah,
for their
well,
ads in the background.
yeah, so like the polarity shifted where it was getting people to become consumers, which I think they mastered. They don't even have to do this anymore. the value isn't in getting people to buy now. The value is in understanding human psychology, behavior, and all those patterns that are associated with that. So that's the value now. So they can use those same mechanisms to just attract and attain that kind of information.
Mm.
So when you like, when you see these videos that we're specifically talking about, they have millions of views. So it's clear that the algorithm is pushing it. Well, what's the algorithm, bro? There's AI. So you've got AI and artificial intelligence that's controlling an algorithm that is hypnotizing, essentially, mind controlling mainly kids, but we're not even going to just subject it to kids, it's even older adults. And they're extracting all that information that you're saying. It's not about buying, it's about understanding human psychology. Do you know, like, you seen those pictures and like you see them in movies, you know, when something like, for example, Harry Potter, you got the Deathly Hallow and it sucks that energy out of Harry.
Yeah. The Death
Bro,
Eaters.
this TikTok is sucking everything out of you. It's harvesting. And then that goes
I've
on.
noticed it myself. Like I get caught up on Instagram, and you find yourself scrolling so much where you feel your life essence has just been drained.
Yeah.
You take time off. You need to start grounding properly again. When you're conscious enough where you can check that, like you're on like the right path.
You're on solid
These
ground there.
kids don't know how to deal with it. They get off and they just don't know what to do.
Yeah, because Paul Check did a really good series of, like, I'm not sure if you watched it, where it's the artificial reality versus the real reality. So when your world is predominantly involved and you're predominantly living life through the virtual world, well, then you're going away from true reality. And so the kids nowadays, they spend half their day on mobile phones through a virtual reality. And where is their jing? Where is their essence? Where is their chi going? It's all flowing through this black mirror, black screen. It's all being extracted through there. They're losing so much of their essence through the mobile phone because that's what it's designed to do. But then, yeah, I think being conscious of it gives you like some standing solid ground to just be like navigating it sometimes. But have
Well,
you?
we're talking about the TikTok generation, the kids, right? We keep saying the kids, but
Yeah.
I mean, you've been sharing like information on Instagram for years now. I mean, most of the people that follow your account and accounts like yours, they're not the kids. They're in like the 25 to 35 age range, and I'm sure you've seen the difference in like how they interact with the content that you share. It's like it's not just the kids, it's everyone who uses these apps.
Yeah. I think there's, like, me and you've seen it, bro. Like, we've been on social media for ages. I mean, granted, I was posting and stuff and probably a little bit more on social media than you, but you've recently just been on social media. But we always had conversations on this. There is a massive, massive difference between the people that truly know what they're talking about and the people that don't know what they're talking about. And that even in this community, truth community, I think as social media has risen, we have the introduction of social media researchers.
Yeah.
People that their only source of
algorithm. That's
yeah,
what it's about now.
yeah, it's like the only, you might be on social media and learning things, but your only source of information comes from social media. And there are also negative implications of getting your information solely on social media. Whereas when we first were on social media, and I remember some of the pages and some of the guys that we were like speaking with, and the kind of content creation and the kind of understanding was so much deeper, was so much more grounded, and was rooted in actual learning and discernment. Today, we have a group of people that are just full of all these different facts about conspiracies or whatever, with absolutely no discernment whatsoever. I think maybe that's the key, is like over time, or at least those that were more aware before the proper rollout and the introduction of all these social media hacks and TikTok and all that stuff, and how the algorithms are now more at the forefront of social media. Before that, people had to spend time with the knowledge that they found. They actually had to do the research. There was no other way of finding it out because people weren't on social media sharing every bits and bobs and stuff, and you had to actually find it rather than the algorithm supplying it. And so there was a level of discernment that came along with that. People understood the topics that they were speaking about. They could speak about with clarity. They could speak about with an open mind. They could draw on different information rather than the people now, unfortunately, even though they may think that they're aware and that they're woke or whatever, or like they know what reality is like. No, you got your information from social media clips, and you have a lack of discernment because you've pulled that in, you haven't dived into the information yourself. You've been fed it by algorithms, basically. You know,
Mhm.
that's the difference that I see. And now it's very difficult to come across people that generally know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
That's my like,
I also think the way that it's being consumed now, like the way the algorithms work, the content isn't just plain simple someone speaking about something factual. That's just not going to cut it anymore. You have to chop clips nicely with subtitles, with music, with this, that, and the other. And you know, I've noticed the algorithms, they will share stuff about topics that you didn't think would be shared, such as like on the vaccines, on certain health topics, and that stuff can go viral, and you wouldn't expect it to. And they don't mind that going viral because, like you said, people aren't going to investigate further. They're so stuck in scrolling that you'll post a clip that'll get tens of thousands of likes on vaccines or something. How many people really explored that further? If the first time they've seen it, they just like it and carry on scrolling.
yeah, I know.
I've noticed that as well on my account where clips are getting pretty viral, but I question like how many people are actually going to see that person's lectures, actually dive into their work. Are they that interested, or are they caught in that social media scroll, that
That's
automaton
that's the
feed?
I think that's the trickery of it. The algorithms is it gives you a sense of accomplishment, bro. When you see like a video pop up on your feed or of a viral video, even if it's something about vaccines or any kind of what is perceived today as like a deep truth,
Hmm.
that dopamine receptors are hit, this fear programming kicks in, this like it feels like you've just watched something important, but then a minute later onto the next thing. So
Exactly.
it kind of fulfilled this sense of accomplishment that you've learned something and that you've you know you broke the ground there, something groundbreaking that you've just discovered and just come across. But then in a minute later, your thought is completely different. Whereas previously, it was like, wow, I've just saw this clip, and it probably wouldn't be a clip like what we're seeing today. Like you say, like all the clips are hyper. What's the word now? They're so
Stimulating.
yeah, hyper stimulating, and the design is the only it's designed to just grab your attention, nothing else. Previously, it wasn't like that. It was just like you'll see a piece of content and it wasn't like 60 seconds. It was more like 3, 4, 5 minutes. And you'd watch it, it would intrigue you, it would inform you deeper, but it wasn't like scrolling to the next hyper stimulating video. It was like, dang, let me have a look into that. And people were also smart enough back then to like tell you how to go deeper into this. What you'll see now is people just trying to cater for the algorithm and posting clips without any reference to anything else, just for virality, just for feeding the algorithm. They don't really, I mean, that's a different topic, but I don't feel like people care that much of actually informing people where to go ahead and look for information and further dive into the research. It's more like, yeah, I want to get viral and stuff. But yeah, I've seen this huge shift, man. And I don't know, I feel like it's gonna get worse, bro. I feel like it's on a downward
I
spiral
I
from
think uh, COVID played the biggest role because people just at home on their phones, and it just shifted the attention span of just consciousness today, because it was all stuck in these black screens. And it's, you can see how it's developed so quickly, and we've just come to the end of it all now, all the propaganda, and now AI is flourishing. AI started, and that's rolling out faster than ever. And you can see how they have structured it so well,
Yeah.
how it's to plan out for the future.
But
And I think AI is the main focus now for the next 3 to 5 years.
so they basically, through the lockdowns, people got highly dependent on their mobile phones as the primary means of communication. But they needed that step to take place because in order for them to roll out all of their gimmicky AIs, which is what we've seen all those gimmicky AI things like ChatGPT. We've seen the AI photo editors and stuff, and they started like shoving this down our throat. But they needed that dependency, and I think COVID played a massive role for that because it just, I don't know. I've just visually observed people being extremely more dependent on their phones after COVID,
Yeah,
especially the younger generations, the younger kids.
I think it's beyond dependency now. I think it's just addiction. Um, the the shift into like reality being on the phone. People like, if communication, all the communication you get on your phone, that's your social interaction. So you view your phone, these apps, as like how you socially interact. That's a new form of reality. You don't need to, you don't need to go elsewhere. So it's, instead of, they're not just completely dependent on it, their life sort of relies on it as well.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're saying now, and like there is what we're going to see in the next few years is that shift towards that meta reality, that augmented bio technological state in which man, machine, the human, the phone, that's the primary means of communication. Do you know how we're saying, like with the kids, how all of these are like, for example, the videos that we're talking about, or TikTok, and what it's doing to the brains of children, making them extremely docile, forgetful, lack of an ability to maintain information, a lack of an ability to withhold meaningful conversations. Well, when you try to like project what that means in like 10, 20 years, what does that mean in 10, 20 years? You know, people are trying to form communities or whatever. There's going to be an absolute, a broken bridge between the older folks and the younger folks. It's a different reality. These folks don't operate in this world as much as the older generations that were not involved with this technology. So there's going to be a severing in communication between half of the population, you know? So that they need that to happen for that meta reality. They need people to be primed to accept a digital mergence, to merge with the digital world.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that in, I mean, how many movies have you watched come out of Hollywood where there's everyone that's sucked into the hyper materialism, whatever that looks like in a dystopian world, and then there's the fringe community of, people who trying to remain connected to nature. They're not falling for all that.
Yeah.
And we're slowly seeing that fracture in the way society is today. But yeah, what you're talking about is they envision that themselves. They know that there's a community of people that won't agree with everything that happens. But I mean, is it inevitable?
Well, you know what's really interesting, intriguing, is that like we know they have amazing technology that they clearly keep behind closed doors. We know, for example, that Apple Vision Pro is a bulky prototype of something that they have clearly smaller and much better, but they need to coax and program the population, because man, Days of Noah speaks about this as well. Like, we are prepared in terms of technologically. We have the tech to produce all of these things, like with augmented reality and projecting and virtual reality. We have that tech, but culturally, the people are not in a mental state to be able to accept such a reality. They need to program you to accept it. And so that's why they release things slowly and steadily to gain feedback, to understand psychology, to work on it, and to create the desire for such a world. There's a reason why Meta didn't work and why people are saying it failed. It didn't fail. And also with Apple Vision Pro, it's not failing. It's by design this way. You can't just enter a Ready Player One world instantaneously. Now you need to get people to psychologically catch on to that idea. And so we know, like, one of the end stages of global dominance, or whatever what you want to call it, is transhumanism, is that final singularity event in which man finally accepts that he must merge with machine or merge with technology as a savior, as a way to be saved in today's world, as the only logical way. And you see it happening now. We see it already with, like, the pushing of AI, the TikTok algorithms, the videos that kids are being seen, the dependency on technology. We're seeing that there is slowly this dependency grows on that technology. We see that at the end of this, what all of this leads to is the acceptance that we need more technology. We need technology inside of us, and eventually we need to become technology or be in a technological world. And so we see that being planned out. And I feel like there is no stop to that. They're just going to keep coming. They're going to keep coming.
It's just the standard play that they do, Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution. You know, what you're talking about is basically that they create the problem. They need people to demand a solution, then they offer the solution. Obviously, transhumanism, that is exactly that. Elon Musk is the perfect example. I mean, look at Neuralink. There's so many people on the fence, but when they create the demand so well that people want it.
Well, how does this picture look? When you've got kids growing up due to technological induced sickness, where they are forgetful, they can't remember things, they can't learn languages, they can't perceive their own bodily illness or wellness, they can't hold conversations for long, they have brain fog, they have all of these issues cognitively speaking. Well, hey, we have technology that can save you. We have the brain chip, we have the Neuralink that can really fire up your neurons and all that bullshit, which is, you know, what he's basically selling. It becomes a feasible solution for people, which they've already predestined. That's basically what you're saying about Hegelian dialectic.
Yeah.
And it's like, people don't catch on to this. People don't see this, that they're on a road down to all roads lead to the same place in this instance with technology. But you said something, we spoke earlier, and you said something interesting about technology. And because it's important, we're speaking about, like, the negative side of technology. But we know that technology is here for a reason, spiritually speaking, on the mental level, like we're speaking on this level. What is technology here for? And is it all evil? Do you get what I mean?
Is technology inherently evil? Well, I've looked into Rudolf Steiner's viewpoint on technology, and it is quite interesting because, well, I don't know how to speak of it in so thingy, so small of a scale.
But do you ever feel that technology, as much as we're focused on where this technology is leading, and it is actually a reality in which we're not making this up, it's their blueprint, it's in what they're actually trying to achieve. But do you not think that the reason why we're even aware of this and why we're aware of technology in this aspect is in essence to awaken something within man, for man to develop his understanding and discernment? Basically, is technology helping us become more aware?
Well, yeah, because if you look at it, so we're talking obviously a lot on the negatives, but how many people are going to be fed up with the constant addiction to technology, how it's completely ripping apart like human nature? It will drive people towards a connection to nature and to the soul, really, to spirit. And Rudolf Steiner touches on how technology plays a role in the spiritual awakening of man. How not only will it drive people into hypermaterialism, but also it will test people to the brink, really, to question the nature of reality.
Mm-hmm.
And in that questioning, curiosity begins the journey into selfhood, into spiritual nature. And I think we're seeing, well, obviously at the beginning stages of that, but I think that it's not just a pessimistic look on technology. And I think most of us who are on the conscious path, we can sort of relate to how when we overconsume on technology, we see how transhumanism is being played out, that most people just want to run off into the woods, give me a cabin in the woods, they want to go and live off grid. How have you not seen the increase in people want to live off grid? But there's also a fine line of escapism at the same time. I don't think the role of technology is to make us go back to how we lived hundreds of years ago. I think it's a mixture of both that we have to balance, how to integrate the spiritual nature within ourselves, also align with technology. Now, I'm not talking like, sitting on the virtual reality headsets and then doing your meditations right after. I mean, it doesn't work like that, but we have to understand the trajectory of it, use it for how we can use it. For example, we use social media to try and spread awareness. And then you just see how that's looking in the future. It will create that splitting of society, like you said. Majority will always be on the side of consuming materialism. Most of them will be lost, but technology, transhumanism, I think it will trigger a lot of people into reintegrating themselves with, the spiritual side of life.
Yeah, that's how I'm starting to see it, because through like posting on social media constantly and being on my phone and constantly finding myself checking it, I got locked in one side of duality. And I think that's what it comes down to, is a lot of the times we enter just one picture, one side of a duality, which is often the negative side, is the side in which we are at our lowest expression, our lowest self. And I think that's a necessary part in order to actually understand and get the observation that we're stuck in one side of a duality. And so nothing is inherently bad or evil about it. It's actually a sign for you to awaken that inner spirit of yourself and observe and understand where you are on that scale of duality. If you're here and you awaken, you can position yourself here. But then we have the Luddite, which is like this side, who is completely against technology. Then we have the other side, which is that person who is absolutely entrapped and engulfed in technology. And then it's just about understanding both of them are different polarities, and none of them are the right place to be. And it's about understanding how you can actually become synergistic with it in a sense of understanding, not in the sense of like merging yourself with it. But what I'm saying is like understanding the evil nature of it is important because it can bring that balance into your life. And not only do I think that it's important, I think it's necessary.
Yeah, I think
Like,
there's that balance, which would, thousands of years ago, that's the ultimate, that's the stage of enlightenment, really, the end goal of being with the one, with God. But in today's age, I think spirituality is taken a different way of, like, enlightenment isn't the same as it used to be. I think you can't be that sage or that person who meditates in the mountains. That's not what enlightenment or the height of spirituality looks like now. I think the height of spirituality, you're born in a city, you're born in this industrialized world. That balance is that height of spirituality. How you integrate yourself with the modern world whilst, having the ancient tradition within you. I think that's the balance that you gotta look for. Because if you were meant to go and run into the mountains and meditate all day, and that was what spirituality looked like, you wouldn't be born in a city. How many of us have questioned that ourselves on the path?
bro. Yeah.
It's a lot different when you look at it in the sense technology plays a huge role. We're at the beginning of it when we grew up, how it really takes a hold in your life. We played video games all day and stuff, but the way it's going, how you integrate with it is going to be with
right.
your spiritual essence. At the same time, you're protecting your own chi, cultivating your own chi, and using that as a weapon, really, and how to integrate with technology. I don't think technology is all inherently evil at all.
I think
You can surely get lost in technology.
That's the thing. I think that it would make sense, and this is like a thing that many people might not be able to like perceive just yet. And like technology is here for a purpose, and what you're saying is to awaken the inner spirit and the self-reflection of man, to initiate man into selfhood, as Michael Sarian would say. Like I feel like technology can be a reflection of your inner self. For example, feeling low and depressed, feeling anxious. Well, how many anxious and depressed kids are stuck in a loop of technology?
I'd say technology is like the magnification of the state of people's consciousness. I mean, jealousy, pride, the 7 deadly sins really are magnified on technology. I think anxiety and depression are a byproduct of using the technology. I think
so basically, so like for example, if we have a community or if we have a group of people that are extremely envious, are extremely greedy, extremely hateful and resentful, then the way in which technology will be used in reference to these people will be very much a reflection of that. And
I think that is a reflection of it today, don't you think? If you go on Instagram, it's just if you look at internet itself, I mean, pornography takes up most of the internet. I mean, lust. I mean, we were talking about AI before. One of the first things it was being weaponized for was pornography. I mean, you've seen the articles of AI porn and people being sucked into that, their lives literally being ruined.
And then we have media where the hateful nature of man is expressed through media. What do you see? You turn on any media channel, man gets stabbed 27 times, you know? And it's like,
Yeah. I mean, I think technology plays that role.
yeah.
Social media plays that role, but
I think when you have that perspective, things start to shift and make sense for you in terms of your relationship with technology and your understanding of a whole of technology's role in the modern world. That's a very a balanced way and a way to think about something to not get lost in it, which is what most people unfortunately don't think about and get lost in technology themselves.